Married more than 8 times, his debut novel, Don't Do It Like I've Done It, has skyrocketed to the top of the bestseller charts. On a recent book signing tour in Boise, Idaho, he met his most recent love interest and is engaged to be married during spring break in a Croatian national park. Strangely, his lucky number is 12. Perhaps that is his eventual goal. Say hello to Jonathan, 9 times a charm, Kim.
Our next contestant, arrested over 17 times for loitering outside of the state capitol, she is most well known for the banana bread she bakes for her fellow protesters. In fact, she recently protested the use of bananas in smoothies, bananas in pies, and bananas used as boomerangs. To her, there is only one use for a banana, and that is to bake bread. Please welcome Sarah, preheat to 350, Greenswag. All right, so in order to determine who goes first, usually people do a coin toss. We toss a rubber chicken. So, Mr. Kim, if you could stand over there, right, okay. Whoever the head of the chicken points to or is closest to, that's who goes first. Cover your heads. Mr. Schmidt is not good at the chicken toss. Mr. Kim will be going first.
All right, here we go. Do I use this guy? Oh, yeah, that's me.
You have 6 minutes.
All right.
If he hits the 6-minute mark, he is yanked off stage.
Yeah, I can.
That's it. You got to stop. We had to stop Dr. Fuentes. We were sad, but not really. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. So they say that apples don't fall far from the tree, right? And that's usually an idiom we use to battle that nature is better than nurture, or that nature is more predictive than nurture is. But you might ask me, hey, Mr. Kim, what if a bird picks up that seed, flies it halfway around the world? Then that seed fell really, really far away from the tree, right? But here's the thing. It doesn't even matter if the seed falls far from the tree. We see it in the faces all around us. We see it in your face right here, right? A 50-50 blend, an intricate DNA mesh of your parents before you. So here's the thing. It doesn't even matter if the seed travels far from the tree, whether it's planted next to the parent tree or planted halfway around the world, the tree takes root and looks just like its parents. An apple tree that's planted halfway around the world from an apple tree doesn't somehow become an orange tree, right? The apples still represent and resemble the trees of its parents before it. It might change to fit its environment a little bit. It might grow an extra branch or two, or it might be a little bit shorter if there's something above it. But in the end, to its core, it's an apple tree. And in case you're confused, right, this is something we writers call a metaphor. I'm not actually talking about apples or oranges. I'm talking about you and me, human beings. Okay? We see it all around us. You look at your neighbor, right? You might look at the example of Jack Youth and Oscar Storr. Jack was a Jewish man raised in Trinidad, and Oscar a German youth who joined the Nazi movement in the 40s. You might look at their names and their backgrounds and say they have nothing in similar. You might even say that they might hate each other. What you wouldn't know is that they're actually identical twins separated at birth. And you might think because they grew up in such drastically different environments that they must be so different, right? Nurture plays such a role in who we become. There's no way that Jack and Oscar would be the same. What would surprise you is that when Minnesota has a genetic DNA program, when they brought them together and told them that they were brothers, they walked in wearing identical coats, down to the brand, color, and size. They had the same receding hairline, and it might even surprise you that they had the same sneeze, the same laugh, and neither of them would use a toilet without flushing it first. You might say this is a major coincidence, that it's anecdotal evidence, right? But the jacket could have been a natural, there's no way that the jacket could have been a natural preference. But Daphne Goodchip and Barbara Herbert would disagree. They dropped out of school at the same time, had the same jobs, met their husbands at the same age. They even had a miscarriage of their same child in the same way in the same month. They both prefer their coffee cold, use the exact same brand of products, and again, you might think they have nothing in common. Identical twins separated at birth. Growing up in different environments can only shape you so far. Now let's talk about the morality of nature versus nurture. You might think that nature is too scientific, that humans are more emotional, that we're more moral than that. But nature tells us that humans are actually 99.9% genetically similar. That the average genetic difference between you sitting here and a child raised in Southeast Asia, regardless of their gender, their socioeconomic background, or the color of their skin, that the average difference between the two of you is 0.1%. Nature tells us that we're so similar because we are at our core as human. We are at our core as an apple tree, not an orange tree. Regardless of race, skin color, socioeconomic status, gender, sexuality, education, political view, etc., 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 nature says that we are 99.9% the same. Nature says that we are all human. Nature produces empathy and unity through our similarity. Now let's look at nurture. Nurture is what teaches us that this 0.1% difference makes some people better than others. Nurture ignores the other 99.9% that we share in common and breeds and perpetuates and breathes life into sexism, racism, genocide, and hate, disunity and division. Nurture takes what nature says to treat equally and instead teaches us to discriminate and divide based on our minuscule differences. Nurture is predictable, rational, or nature is predictable, rational, intricate, and beautiful. It cultivates unity and empathy. Nurture is like chaff. It blows in the wind. It's unsteady, unpredictable, irrational. Teaches division and discrimination. People like nurture because they want to feel unique. But in a time of massive division, we need to be united by our nature. Apples that no matter where we are planted, whether we are Fiji or Honeycrisp or Gala, are more the same than we are different. Apples through and through, not oranges. And we are human at the core. No matter where we're born, whether we're white, black, Asian, or Arab, straight, gay, bi, male, female, trans, or anywhere in between, we are human through and through by nature. Thank you.
Gotta stretch, right? It's my battle. Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go.
We good? Okay, can you guys hear me? Yeah. Does this work? All right, ready? Nature versus nurture. On the surface, not much separates these two words. They both start with N and end with "ture." But as is true with Oreo cookies, it's what's in the middle that counts. Between the N and the "ture" of nature is the letter A. A singular thing. A set of genes. A group of inherited traits. A level of hormones. A list of pre-existing conditions. A belief that our behavior is determined by our genetic code. If we believe in nature, we believe that our fate is determined at birth, that our level of intelligence, our health, our athletic ability, even our personality or coat choice is pre-wired by that which our parents have passed to us. Now, I'm not up here to deny that your genes play a role in shaping the person that you are. Genes are powerful. Let's take the case of identical twins. As predicted, Mr. Kim is going to get up here and tell you about cases of identical twins, and that scientists have found uncanny similarities between these twins separated at birth. Though raised in completely different environments, they have the same favorite color, play the same video games, prefer the same flavor of Dorito. A famous study from Minnesota in 1979 even discovered a set of twins raised separately who both married a woman named Linda, then divorced, and then married a woman named Betty. But that was 1979. That was 40 years ago. And that was when it used to be gospel that your brain couldn't change. But in the last 20 years, there have been breakthroughs in the research that prove that DNA can, in fact, be manipulated by your environment or your nurture. Keep in mind, this is not my field of expertise, so bear with me while I try to explain the science. Recent investigations have discovered a system known as epigenetics. These studies have proven that even though our DNA does not change, a person's environment or their nurture can cause certain genes to turn on and off in a way that change how your traits present themselves. For example, your diet can have a significant impact on your health. Studies have found that diets that are high in fats and low in carbs can protect you against cancer, even if you have a long family history of it. Similarly, increasing your intake of B vitamins may protect against harmful effects of pollution. Other studies have focused on physical contact, and that physical contact can have amazingly powerful effects on our long-term health. Simply holding hands with another person is found to release chemicals into our bloodstream that can lower your heart rate, fight symptoms of anxiety and depression. Touch relaxes the nervous system. Platonic touch can have amazing positive health benefits, especially for men who are more genetically predisposed to suffer from stress-related diseases. You could say men are wired in their nature to suffer from high blood pressure and alcohol abuse. One of the best ways to overcome those genetic predispositions is to show affection. And the best part, you can get it for free. So what's our takeaway here? Your environment is powerful. Your interactions with other people are powerful. You want your team to win the game? Give more high fives or hugs to your teammates. You want a larger tip from your customers at your job? Touch them on the arm. You want to feel less anxiety before taking a test? Get a quick shoulder massage from your friend. At the beginning of this battle, I talked about how there is little that actually separates nature from nurture. They both start with an N and end with chur, but it's what's in the middle that counts. If we believe in nurture, we believe that you are in control of your own destiny. You are what you surround yourself with. You are more powerful than the genetics you were born with, and you are limitless, not limited. The end.
All right, so you, loud. You as the audience are now going to decide who won that Right Club bout. So what you're going to do is you're going to applaud. Mr. Schmidt is going to be a human applause meter, and we're going to determine who won this. So if you believe that Mr. Kim, arguing in favor of nature, is our winner, please applaud. Thank you. If you believe that Ms. Greenswag, arguing in favor of nurture, is our winner, please applaud. Mr. Schmidt, I need a verdict.
Yeah, I think it's Greenswag.
Greenswag is our winner. Thank you so much. You can have a seat on the couch for our next bout. All right. Our second bout is about to begin. Mr. Schmidt, please introduce our first contestant.
Afraid of trees her whole life, she has developed a fear of the word leaves. In fact, she hates the word so much, she never leaves, anywhere. If she goes to a party, she has to be physically carried out the door. She was once locked inside Mariano's overnight because she refused to get out of the store. It is assumed that she mostly just lives here at school. Please give it up for Susie Hard-to-Say-Goodbye, Torrence.
Well, folks, he wasn't always this tall. Back when he was 5'7", he was late for a flight to Toronto and attempted to catch the plane by physically holding on to it. After being dragged over 300 yards down the runway yelling, "Help me, Tom Cruise!" he finally let go. The result? His body had been stretched over 1 foot longer. Please welcome Brian Landing Gear Wilcox. Time for the chicken. All right, so we are going to flip a chicken to determine who goes first. Whoever the head of the chicken points to is going to be the one who goes first. Ready, Mr. Schmidt? Go. Ms. Torrence, you are first.
Check, check, check,
We gotta
check,
get your time
check,
ready.
check, check, check. Checking? Should I keep checking? Are we ready? We're ready. All right. I am a realist. I get it. I love water, I really do, but when faced with the choice, water or land, I have to pick land. Major disclaimer, I drink water for survival. Placing that aside, I'm here to sell you on land. I want to be clear and upfront. I love lakes. I've lived in a lake neighborhood for 20 years. I currently, so very happily, live on the water. Like my own private beach in my backyard, kind of on the water. Like my past 12 months have been a series of cherished dockside memories, kind of on the water. It is so delightful to live on the water, but it's awkwardly stated that way, isn't it? Because in reality, I just live next to the water. Of course I don't live on the water. Nobody does, let's be real. I look to the waves daily, when the water's not frozen, that is. I find serenity and joy in the appearance of the sunlight reflecting off the ripples and the sound of the waves striking the dock below my feet. I love to take our kayaks or rowboat out to the middle of the lake and just float. While drifting out there, peering at the distant shoreline, I relish in letting my worries wash away. The water has a way of making me feel at ease. I've come to realize, you know what's actually making me feel at ease? The shoreline. Remove that land, and I don't think I'd have such an appreciation for water. Have you ever seen Waterworld with Kevin Costner, where the ice caps have melted, leaving a post-apocalyptic planet with little to no land? It's dreadful. Or Open Water, about the couple left behind on a scuba expedition. It's terrifying. Or Life of Pi with the kid and the boat and the animals. If water was so great, why are we not there right now? It's an impractical location. Water is an alluring escape destination. It's a vast expanse of mystery and wonder. But the land is our reality. We build our homes on solid ground. This past summer, not my actual home, but most of my neighborhood, as well as much of Libertyville, flooded pretty badly. Water, ugh, right? Envision for a moment a shape. South America, picture it. The landmass that is South America, or picture Australia. You could likely draw its shape fairly precisely. Now envision the Atlantic Ocean. Could you draw its shape? The Colorado River? Could you draw the Great Lakes? We know the shapes of the land masses, not as much the waterways. 71% of the surface of the earth is water and only 29% land. We know the land. We traverse it, we study it, we harvest it, we live our lives on it. We name our homelands. Being a physics teacher, I study waves. Reflection, refraction, diffraction, interference. All these wave behaviors are exhibited splendidly in the interplay of water molecules. The waves carry energy, information about any and all activity that has transpired in the medium. It's fascinating to study. Yet water is like icing on the cake. It makes the cake delicious, but we don't celebrate getting another year older with a scoop of icing. This whole debate, though, honestly, it's quite silly. How do we select just one from a list of two necessities? It's almost like a yin to the yang kind of affair. We could go deeper and consider adding in air and fire for a full set, which leads me to the thought, air or fire? Obviously, I pick air, right? I mean, fire's cooking, yada yada, and bonfires are mesmerizing, and fireworks, great. But air or fire, I must in good conscience pick air. I'm a realist. I get it. I love water, but I pick land.
All right, Mr. Wilcox. You look confident.
Not so confident.
That mic needs to be raised a little bit.
I think I'm going to go freestyle.
He's freestyle.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works.
One more hand for Miss Torrence. That was awesome. As I begin to speak about water, I can only hope I don't drown on my words. I'd like to get my feet wet in this battle with a compilation of rhymes, but I'm feeling a little parched, therefore I might drink from my Yeti a big sip of water. That's a lot better. Like I said, I have a grouping of poems today, and this is some of the first work that I've done that's been shared to a public audience, so if you feel the need to snap, I'd appreciate it. My first is going to start out relatively basic. It's an acrostic style poem where water really speaks for itself. Water. Wonderful. Awesome. Terrific. Essential. Refreshing. Water. And now I have a couple limericks that we might want to consider. Water can be lots of fun, a reprieve from the hot day's sun. It is the giver of life. Those without it live in strife. Let's share this resource as one. Thank you. I appreciate the snaps. Appreciate it. Second limerick. Do you ever sit back and think about the water that some have to drink? Is it full of lead? Do they live in dread? Or does it have a strong smell and just stink? Yeah, that's a sad poem. Our UNICEF message that we heard this week in the morning announcements is a great call to action. The video that was produced by our students was great, and let's please participate in Penny Wars as we consider water this week. Last, I'm going to end with a haiku, and then I'm going to go to a little verse that I put together. Here's my haiku about water. Powerful water, the one essential compound that gives us all life. Thank you. Okay, and now this is where I begin my rap career. I like to call myself, my rap persona is Illinois, because I make some illin noise, and I'm from Illinois. So I'm going to try not to twist my words. Here we go. Today you'll hear a battle between water and land, and I won't deny that our landscape is grand, but the truth is we need water to survive. It keeps plants and animals and humans alive. Yet many in the world need water that is pure. UNICEF's message helps us all to ensure that awareness is raised for a need that is global, and helpful efforts are selfless and noble. Without water, our lands just turn to dust. Life vanishes, so water is a must. Just look back in time to early civilization and the development of our great nation. Water has always been our greatest resource. Settlements developed near a river's course. We learned to harvest power through an engine of steam and filled our bellies with fish caught from the stream. Water quenches our thirst when we are hot. It's the location of our favorite vacation spot. So take me to the beach. Take me to the ocean. Life is better when we're floating in motion. Teach me how to ski. Teach me how to surf. Water is more fun than playing on turf. Scuba, snorkel, kayak, all great recreation. Chilly water cools us from our perspiration. When we are dirty, it helps to keep us clean. Those who waste it are hurtful and mean. So let's hear it for water with a loud shout out to help decide the winner of this land-water bout. So when I say H2, you say O. H2. O. H2. O. Thanks, y'all. I got to go. Keep it real like water and go with the flow.
Just threw it down. That was quite not what I thought you could do.
I agree. Okay, let's do it. Let's do the measurements and then the volume measurement thing, right?
The volume measurement thing.
To clear it up,
Yeah.
the volume.
Okay, here we go. Torrence, Wilcox, center stage, please. If you would like to vote as the winner of this bout, Ms. Torrence, arguing in favor of land, please applaud. If you would like to vote in favor of Mr. Wilcox arguing for water, please applaud. Nicely done. All right, I'm gonna give our teachers over here some microphones. Is this one on?
I can go out into the audience if people have questions. How much time do we have? Anybody know? 4 minutes. Okay. No? 9. Perfect. All right. Let's see. If anyone has a question, raise them up. Here it goes.
Thank you. Mr. Wilcox, What is your favorite brand of water?
You know, I guess that'd be great. You know what? I'm not definitely what maybe someone would consider a water snob. I'm straight out of the tap. That's where I got this today. But if I were to go to purchase water, I do like that one brand that's, what's that? It's from the volcanic rock. Fiji water is a nice water. But I do really like just from the tap, so.
Because you don't live in Flint. Okay. All right, there's a question over here. That's all right. Pop, 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 pop.
Mr. Wilcox, what is your SoundCloud link? Because you are an amazing rapper, and I would love to hear more of your material.
Well, I appreciate that. I've yet to form my SoundCloud channel, if that's what you call it. But I do enjoy. I think that would be my alter ego, maybe a lyricist. I do like writing lyrics. That's kind of fun. So.
By the way, could you all say what it is you teach? Because you're so amazing. I think everyone wants to sign up for electives or something. But could we just go around? You guys kind of say what it is that you teach?
Driver's ed.
Cars, right?
Physics. American history. You all have to take it.
Psychology and government. You also have to take that.
Mr. Wilcox, what's your next step in your rapping career?
Well, probably working on merchandising. I'd like to work on a logo. You know, I've been thinking about this career move for quite a while. In the back of my head, I've had Illinois. For anyone who's taken driver's ed over the last 6-7 years, I've used it as my license plate. So, yeah.
All right, let me ask a question of Mr. Kim and Ms. Greenswag. So did you guys have a pretty good idea of what the other was going to say? Because Sarah, it certainly seemed like you had some inside knowledge there. So what happened? Like, how did you write your pieces? You'd each kind of speak of that for a moment, please.
Sure. So I know Mr. Kim is the psychology teacher, right? So I figured he was going to go into the world of psychological studies. And last night is when I did some of my research. And yeah, I guessed. I figured. I knew we didn't see each other's pieces ahead of time, but I just had a feeling that the twin study was going to come up. And I actually had a student tip me to that whole epigenetics thing. So. Is that controversial? Don't we all get inspiration from brilliant people? Yeah.
I think my playbook was robbed last week. I think somebody stole my notes and then I gave them to Miss Greenswag. And today when I was looking for my notes, I was like, oh my gosh. And G-Swag I got sabotaged is really what it comes down to. So, yeah.
Mr. Wilcox, how long did it take you to write your argument? Because it was superb.
Well, to be honest, I've been thinking about it since we first signed up. You know how. Yeah, it took a while to get a topic, but ultimately I threw a couple words down. And then I started to think about water and what I like to do in water, and then I started to write down like this word rhymes with that word, and then I went to the right. I had one verse really, and then last night, to be honest, right after I got home from school, I put all those words that rhymed together and put it mixed. But I would say probably last night I probably spent 6 hours, but before that, maybe that's a little stretch. Maybe there's a little TV watching in between. But I don't know. Overall, just thinking about it, processing. I think a lot of the processing took place in my head before I put anything on writing. And I was actually going to start typing, and I realized I couldn't type it. I had to write it. So that was much easier for me to do it that way.
Ms. Torrence, this is your second Write Club bout. You did one 2 years ago? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you won that bout.
I did.
Yes. Ms. Torrance, 2 years ago, was battling science versus the arts, and she won against Mr. Thomas, arguing for science. What is it like to be on the other side of that win?
Yeah. Well, it's not the first time I've suffered a loss, but the win against Christopher Thomas was unexpected. I got to tell you, Christopher Thomas in the arts, I was like, oh no. I had no idea what you were going to bring today, Wilcox. I bow this loss. I hand the win to him because that was fantastic. I didn't rhyme a single time. He nailed it.
Oh, sweet. Do I kind of?
Yeah.
I also have a question for Mr. Wilcox. Your topic was water, and my question is, do you think water is wet?
Is water wet? Yeah, that's like a big. Yeah. Is water wet?
It's
Is water wet?
it's a compound. I found that out last night because originally I was calling it an element, an essential element. So it's good I did a little research. Is water wet? Yeah, I would like to think it is.
Go with your heart.
It feels wet. It feels wet.
Yeah. This is a generation gap. I mean,
Do the science teachers want to speak on that? It is clearly worth
No, I
debating.
don't want to speak on it. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
It's not an element, and it feels wet.
Okay.
Here's
all
one
right.
thing I'll say. Is we call dry ice because it goes straight from solid to gas, right? And so normal water ice, when the water is melting on that ice, it's all water, but it's wet. It's wet ice. So a cube of ice is all water, and if you touch the cube of ice, you'd probably say it was wet. And so water is wet.
And I'm going to claim him as a scientist. Side note, I'm putting him in the scientist category. He speaks for the scientists.
You guys just got the psychology of wetness right there. There it was. Do we have time for another question or not? I think the bell is about to ring. Let's give these guys a round of applause. That was so good.